There was like a association for like sauces. And I was like, that's so crazy. Like they have an association of like sauces. And like, if you make a mean mayonnaise, like just sign up for that association. They help you. They talk about packaging. They talk about, all the different things, the legislation that's happening, for sauces and all of this stuff. And so I was like, oh gosh, there's gotta be something for the venue industry. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Venue RX. On this show, we are going to be doing something really cool, which is announcing a project that we've been working on for a little while. I have my good friend, Lindsey. Thanks so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm stoked to talk about this. I know we've had a lot of conversations about it. I'm excited to have a public conversation about it. So let's dive in.
Yeah, seriously. So I think some context is important. We were announcing this today publicly. We've kind of hinted at it and talked about it a little bit, but I think it's going to be a real game changer for the venue industry as a whole. So before though, I want to ask you, you've been a consultant. You were really like an OG. You've been like in this space for a long, long time. Tell me about when you first started. What resources were available to venue owners, venue operators? What was the industry like in terms of education when you started?
Nothing, to be real blunt. So I got started doing this back in 2016, just like locally, and then decided in 2018, like I need to take this seriously. Basically, I had somebody locally that was just called me crying. I went out and to her property and spent like 3 hours with her. She was super overwhelmed. And I don't know why, but like, when I was there talking to her, I was like, I'm going to fix this for you. I was like total mom mode switch and was like, oh my gosh, I can't handle the crying. Like, I just have to make it better. And so I like promised her. And then I'm also like, my personality is like, well, if I give my word, like I have to follow through kind of thing. And so I went home and like Googled everything possible with like the full intention of, let me just find somebody that can fix it for her, or at least come alongside me and help her kind of thing. And I couldn't find anybody. I found one venue consultant over in Europe, and that was it. I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. So literally like that same day, I stopped the Google search and was like, this is a waste of time, and started Googling like business coaches for myself. Found somebody and was like, hey, I want to do this thing. It doesn't exist. We're literally creating everything from scratch. Are you in? And thankfully she was like, yeah, let's do it. We'll figure it out. And then one thing after another, it just kind of grew. And my client roster was completely full before I ever even had a website, like just word of mouth. And then I started realizing like my plate was really full and I still didn't have like any resources built out or any like refer people like that I knew that was also doing this, that I could refer people to that I didn't have the time to take on without pulling from the experience of my current clients and sacrificing that, which I absolutely wasn't willing to do. That's how the Venue Academy was born. I was like, let me just braid them all of this, templatize it, and turn it into an online course. And so that's how that was born. And since then, I immediately started for my own personal business as a consultant in the beginning. The hardest thing for me to overcome was just educating my audience on even what a venue consultant is and what I did. So I had to write like a lot of blog posts on like, what is this thing that I do? Like down to the nitty gritty, like how does this work? And how, like, what are the pain points that we saw for venue owners? And then I started going on and doing a lot of podcasts and talking about my background as a wedding planner and like how it kind of evolved into this thing. And now, thankfully, there's a lot of other venue consultants. And I think the beautiful thing is like, we're all different.
Yeah.
Like all of us have like our own specialties and like our own like niche area and who we serve and our own ideal clients and things like that. So I love that there's more consultants now.
Yeah, I was going to just say that since that time, I think there definitely have been people, I think the education industry has grown, right? And also like the tools, right? We have Loom and we have Zoom, right? Like we're on right now. And there's so many different resources and tools available to people to provide remote education. And so the amount of consultants has grown, but really at the beginning of this year, I it's so funny. I looked and there was something that just randomly came across my desk because I was looking at just like business stuff. I can't even remember exactly what I was searching for, but there was like a association for like sauces. And I was like, that's so crazy. Like they have an association of like sauces. And like, if you make a mean mayonnaise, like just sign up for that association. They help you. They talk about packaging. They talk about, all the different things, the legislation that's happening, for sauces and.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then there's like an association of like tech deck, those little like finger skateboards. Yes. And like all of this stuff. And so I was like, oh gosh, there's got to be something for the venue industry. Like, of course. And I looked and I spent like 10 months looking. I kid you not, fairly regularly. I would say weekly, a couple times a week, probably just doing searches. And I started with the big ones that we kind of all know: NACE, ILEA, MPI, WIPA, like those, right? They do a fantastic job of meeting the needs of their audience, but their audience are planners, or their audience is a DJ or a catering company or different elements of the industry. And I was like, gosh, this is a multi-billion-dollar asset-heavy industry. It's the most difficult part of this whole industry. And we don't have any sort of, we don't have a yearly in-person event that's just for venue owners and operators that maybe other venue vendors come to, but like it is for the venue. There's no certification process for being a venue professional. What does that even mean? Right. And so it's a little bit like the Wild West. And so, yeah, that's why, and we talked about this so much, but that's why we wanted to start WEVA. So we've kind of mentioned it a little bit. WEVA stands for Wedding and Event Venue Association. And we did a beta launch August 31st, and we filled up the first 50 seats pretty quickly. And really the goal is by 2024 to open it up to kind of the general group of venue owners. And right now, we just want to do a really, really good job of creating resources and a community and an experience inside of that association so that when a venue owner or a venue operator or a sales manager at a venue or anyone who is a part of a venue wants to come and get education, they want to get support, they want to get community, they want to get some of the resources that I don't think that we have at this point, they're going to come, they're going to join WEVA because WEVA is going to give that to them. So I'm so excited about this. It's like the most cool thing ever.
Yeah, I'm stoked too. I remember you texting me and being like, hey, I have a crazy idea. Do you have 5 minutes to talk? And I was like, absolutely. And you called and told me about it, which I think our 5-minute phone call turned into an hour phone call. But I remember you initially telling me and me being like, where do I sign? I knew immediately, this is going to be something that disrupts the industry. Sign me up.
So, and that is the goal. The goal is to partner with the people who are already in the industry. So this is not, you are a part of WEVA and nothing else, right? This is to give venue owners, venue operators, people who work at venues, a home and kind of a central hub in terms of an association, a community, networking opportunities, things like that. And there's so many other resources that we're going to be building out, but it is meant to layer into kind of an entire fabric of what I think people need to be looking at in terms of their education and becoming professionals in this industry. And so you can still, go to Wedding MBA, go to, whatever other communities you're a part of. That's fantastic. But I think venue owners and operators need a home. And that's really what we're creating for people.
Yes. I love that. I know we should have a second conversation, honestly, to really dive in about what is WEVA providing, what are your hopes and dreams and growth and all of that sort of thing. So, but just to be clear, WEVA accepts everybody, right? It's not a specific business model or type of venue or everybody's welcome.
That's correct. Everyone's welcome. The goal, the long-term vision of the goal is to provide resources for a variety of different types of venue owners and operators. So venue owners in California are going to be different from venue owners in Maine or Florida or Montana or Tennessee, some of the different places we've talked about, right? Their needs are going to be different. And then also the life cycle of venue owners, like where you're at. If you're listening to this right now and you don't even have your building yet, but you're working on a lease, or you're working on funding, or you're in construction, we want to have resources there for you and support for you so that you can, connect with somebody who's a year or two ahead of you, who's gone through some of the different challenges that you may be experiencing today, to kind of help give you some of that inspiration. And even just a phone call and like, hey, I'm struggling with this. And they're like, I struggled with that too. And this is my experience. This is how it's going to happen. And to give that perspective, sometimes even if it does nothing except calm the nerves, like that's totally worth it. So it's definitely open to everyone at this point. We really want to grow it. So we want to do a live event. We want to call it WEVA Live 2025. We want to have it in the first part of the year, the beginning of the year in 25. So probably in January, February timeframe, most likely in January. We'd love to do it somewhere central in the United States. I'd love the idea of doing it in Dallas, or somewhere that both East Coast and West Coast venues can come to fairly conveniently. And really focus on the experience for venue owners, for venue operators, for anyone who works at a venue, to provide those resources. And as we grow, we're going to be able to start offering specific resources for different groups. And as part of that also, Lindsey, you're right. We have to talk about this at a different time, but as part of this also, you have been very generous and you're creating some resources. We've got other people who are creating resources that are going to be pouring into WEVA, so that when you join WEVA, you have access to not only a catalog of resources, you not only have access to the networking of other venue professionals, but you're able to take advantage of some of the relationships that we're building in terms of things like insurance, other group purchasing things. We're talking to some lawyers who can come in and kind of do some webinars around best practices for contracts. So we're going to try to hit a lot of different layers in this association so we can support venue owners.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Are you currently looking for additional educators, or is that going to be like, and things might change like as the beta program gets rolling and you get feedback from the users that are currently in there, but like, are you wanting to focus on like one educator for this thing, or is it like you're looking for other educators to just kind of like sit and provide feedback as it comes up, like questions within the community?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be an evolving conversation, like you said, but I think the initial key is going to be having people with experience. I think that's really what we're looking for, because it's so easy to just get like, there are Facebook groups out there and someone drops in the Facebook group, hey, what are y'all doing with your contract for X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank, whatever it is. And then you've got 6 to 20 different comments about, probably half of them are negative around disasters that have happened. And then the other half may be kind of useful in terms of experience. What we're looking for in the community is a number of voices who have experience, who maybe are legacy venue owners, who have been consultants like you, who can bring that experience to bear on that one specific issue. And so we're solving it and then we're kind of refining it. So there's a bit of a best practice around how you handle different scenarios. So yeah, we are looking for educators. We're looking for venue owners and operators. If you want to join, so you can go to the website WEVA Hub. It's WEVA Hub, HUB. So wevahub.com. And there is a waitlist sign up, because we're full right now with the initial group of venue owners that we're going to take on. But if you sign up, you'll be the first one to hear about the new release. And we actually might open it up before 2024, just because people are messaging and they're like, hey, like, we want to be involved, but we're just in the process of getting the education and the resources, and we want to do weekly webinars and all of that stuff, but we're rolling it out slowly because we really want to make sure that we do a good job and the experience is right. And so, yeah, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this and you want to join, go to wevahub.com, and Lindsey's in there, Tirza's in there, Tirza Caffey. We have, I think Lindsey Lucas is a part, Lindsey Lucas, Kristen Binford. We have a lot of just really talented people who all see the need for a association that can really be a home and a hub for venue owners and operators. So I'm so excited, and I'm honestly so thankful for you, Lindsey, because you've been such an inspiration. You've been a sounding board, and even just engaging in the community inside of WEVA has been awesome. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Grateful that you included me. I knew like as soon as you called me that night, like it was going to be a big deal. So thanks for including me.
Well, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. I mean, doing an in-person event is going to be amazing because there's...
Yeah, I feel like I know it's 2025, and there's going to be revolutionary things throughout the development of WEVA between now and then, but that live event, that's where things are going to become like really transformative, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. And we're trying, so we will be charging for it for membership, but it's going to be a low enough cost that we're playing around with kind of a dollar a day sort of idea. We really want to make it affordable and reachable for every venue owner. Like our goal is every single venue owner and operator in America is a WEVA member, and they have access to the resources, and they can kind of start there and branch off. And maybe they're starting in WEVA and then they're hiring you, Lindsey. Starting in WEVA, they're hiring someone else to like maybe sharpen their skills on one specific point that you specialize in, but to kind of be a central landing place and networking space for the community is the goal.
Yeah, well, and it's nice, even if somebody isn't in that part of the journey where they're looking to hire somebody else or have additional help, like they still, at the very, least, they get a full community that they're surrounded by and that identifies with them.
Totally. That all do similar things that are maybe you don't want to talk to the venue owner down the street that has a similar venue than you. I get it. Talk to that similar venue owner who's in, a different state. So there's not as much of that direct competition, but they'll still have walked the walk. They still know some of the things that work. And so the mentorship, the community, the education, the networking, it's just going to grow and grow. So yeah, that's WEVA, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, go join the wait list. And Lindsey, I really appreciate you being part of this and kind of first publicly talking about it. We're going to be talking about it quite a bit, so people are going to hear about it on the podcast and all the channels. But you heard it here first.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for including me. This is so fun to talk about.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate you, Lindsey. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.